Hello and welcome back to Fusili Chemicals and the Open Synthesizer. Today we're going to be synthesizing HEXETIDINE. So this is also known by the brand name BACTIDOL, and it is an antiseptic mouthwash. So what you would usually do with this chemical is you mix it in with water and then you gargle it to fight infection. So this is an antifungal, antibacterial, or generally an anti-infection agent. And so this guy is known by other names, and I'm not going to go into much detail about what exactly its name is, or so those other synonyms are. I'm not going to go much detail to that, but what's important is how we here in Fusili Chemicals manufactures the product. So what we use here is a bunch of precursors. There's a lot of precursors. We use a lot of symbols and modules to actually reproduce this product, and in the end, you guys can optimize the solution. But this here is my solution over here. It takes 2,000 cycles to complete, so 2,500 and something cycles to actually make our quota of 120. But as you guys can see over here, we get a proper output for the product, and over here it's kind of symmetric, but not really so, because we had to deal with a certain molecule over here. We had to deal with this carbon atom over here. And in the original solution, I actually got this nitrogen or this ammonia atom here, this precursor here, wrong. So originally we're supposed to have two, right? So we're supposed to have two of the hydrogen atoms bonded to this nitrogen atom at the front of the molecule. But when I was coding the MS architecture, I accidentally put in 0, and so that gave me a different molecule. But I fixed the issue, and we get what we have right now. And so you can see over here, so we sort of have a cyclohexane sort of structure over here in these two over here, but generally the sort of lower right carbon atoms are not bonded, and one of them is really a methane group attached to the thing. So we have roughly 4 methane groups attached to the molecule over here. So the one over here, one over here, one over here, and one over here. So that's really it when it comes to this over here. Again, it took me 2,000 cycles to get this right, and I urge you guys to optimize the solution some more. So I did a video on chlorpheniramine malleate, and I did it again, but this time I optimized the solution to use less cycles, so it's more efficient than the one I did right now. So if I'm not mistaken, it took me only 1,199 cycles to get this right. And I believe in my original video, if I extended it to loop and actually output the product, it would take me more than 1,000 cycles. But I got it right because I optimized the molecule, and when I was building it. But for that, it took me 2,000 cycles to get this right, or to meet our quota. And I urge you guys to copy the molecule that you see on your screen and in the code, and optimize the solution as best as you can to get it to less than 2,000 cycles. So I used 18 modules and 57 symbols in total to make this molecule happen, and that's really it when it comes to hexetidine. So a little side note, or a little tangent here. So this molecule has ingrained itself into my memory because I was a very sickly kid when I was younger. When I was younger, I was prone to sickness, and most of these sickness were tonsil related or throat related. So I had a lot of strep throat and stuff like that. I believe you guys also had those sicknesses before when you were kids. But this molecule, or this drug, this pharmacological drug, holds a special place in my memory because I used this a lot. I gargled this a lot to get rid of the sickness. And in my country, if you didn't have ready access to hexetidine, what you would do to treat sore throat was to boil salt in water and then gargle that. And it still worked, but this is generally more potent because it is intended as an anti-infection agent. So apart from that, I want to clear up a small misconception. So when you guys see a regular molecule, right? When you see a molecule that we formulate here, it may look different than the actual molecule you guys see when you search up these compounds on Google or whatever place you search them. And that is because we want to fit it inside the build platform. Because the build platform is a strictly I believe, how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it's a 13 by 13 hexagon, and that's really all the space that we have to formulate these organic molecules. And we still can get the job done if we move around if we move around these attachments, spatially speaking. So it's obvious that when you change the bonds of a certain molecule, the molecule will change its chemical properties. So changing the bonds of a chemical or of a molecule will change its pharmacological effect on a person. But if you just move around the parts without changing the bonds, it stays the same. It's still essentially the same molecule. And even though I changed the structure to look like this, it still has fundamentally the same bonds as you would a hexetidine molecule you would see on Google Images. And that's a key thing that I want you guys to keep in mind. And that is, although the molecules that we present to you look different, they fundamentally have the same bonds, and the molecule you see on your screen is fundamentally the same thing. It is still hexetidine, but we just had to change the bonds around so that it looks cleaner, more compact, and it ultimately fits into the build platform. So that's really it. So I want you guys to keep that in mind when we make new videos on more molecules that look slightly different than what you would see on Google or in ChemPub or other repositories where you would see information regarding these molecules. So that's really it when it comes to with this video. And in the next video, there are tons of molecules that we want to show you guys. There's a long list of molecules we want to show you guys. So one that I sort of want to get you guys quickly is finasteride, and that is taken in conjunction with estradiol to sort of inhibit the production of testosterone, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe my transgender audience would love to see that video, but that will come soon enough. Another interesting drug would be, of course, a rehashing of my chlorpheniramine video with more optimized cycles, right? So I'll showcase that in the near future. We also have a couple over here. We also have anticoagulants, so drugs that prevent blood clots, such as warfarin. We also have antidiarrheal agents such as loperamide over here, and we have beta blockers such as atenolol. And of course, we also have polymers or synthetic materials such as nylon. So you guys may think that Fusili Chemicals only dabbles in pharmacological drugs and, also forbidden drugs that we reproduce those too for scientific purposes. But we also produce synthetic materials such as nylon. Now we can't produce aluminum with the current or alloys with our current with the current stuff we're provided with, especially me, because we don't really reproduce stuff like alloys, but we really just small scale molecules. That's what we create, and mostly organic ones as well. So they mostly contain carbon, as you guys have noticed in the past few videos. So another one would also be Demerol or pethidine, which is a painkiller or an opioid used for people who are undergoing cancer. So cancer is pretty painful, and it would be great to have an opioid, right? So there's that. There's also some hallucinogenic stuff like psilocybin and LSD, which we'll be showcasing in a future video. But that's really it for this one, which is HEXETIDINE. So until we make those videos, I'll see you guys then.